harder and harder my whole life from when I was in high school on to figuring out ways to be better than others. Why did I strive so much? Well, I was a loner, I was an outsider, and when I did very, very good designs, very good creations. It's like creating a music piece and people say, wow, that's good. Well, when people say, wow, that's great what you did, that's praise, and that's what I lived for. It was having things that I could show off and impress other people. I wanted to be a part of this interesting world. Success was, of course, success is really changing other people's lives. My basic definition would be to have a goal and be able to reach that goal or make very good progress towards it. Then you are successful, no matter what that turns into in dollars and money and whatever. But if your goals are very high, modifying the lives of a lot of people, then that goal will almost always turn into something valuable if you're good at what you do.
How did Steve Jobs define success? Because the notion that most people get about Steve Jobs is this relentless screamer, yeller, how did he define success?
I think he defined success in terms of Steve's goal in life had been to basically be important, and being important included to him running a company. And so how well the company did was his biggest definition of success, was his legacy. When we first founded Apple, he was thinking of how do you become one of the important people in the world that is so remembered and changes life for so many people? How do you become a Shakespeare and Isaac Newton and Einstein? And he was searching trying to find the formulas. There might be 1 million people that are equally qualified, searching, young people all the time, but some of them actually at least stumble in, whether it's by accident at first, stumble into the right path. But you have to have a lot of drive and a lot of ambition, a lot of motivation. And wherever Steve went, he was high energy, a lot of drive, and a lot of ambition. And it carried on to the rest of us to do the things necessary in a company.
Let's talk about partnerships. I think, how many people here have business partners or sometimes look for business partners? Raise your hand. So let's say about half of the room. You have Steve Wozniak, left brain, although probably the most right brain person I know now. So if anybody thinks that you cannot convert from a left brainer, analytical and numbers to a right brainer, what makes a good partnership? Because you and Steve Jobs are completely different. So is that really the key to having two different people that are completely opposite, and that's how they become successful?
We were so lucky because we had a great friendship with a lot of products that we created and sold. And in the early days, it wasn't so much left brain, right brain. It was more like I like to design things, Steve liked to find money and sell them. He had much less money than I did. I always had easy income if I wanted. And I was older than Steve. But I forget, what was the question? Left brain, right brain. Okay, so when we started Apple, I was so skilled as the only engineer who would design an entire product, all the hardware, all the software, and did it myself, and I would be the fundamental engineer for the next few years. That's all I wanted to be in life. Shut the door, I'm going to do my engineering, I'm not going to try to run a company. But somebody has to run the company. So Steve Jobs said, where is my role in being important? He wanted to be the most important person, the one that everyone saw. And first of all, he was well mentored and coached into marketing techniques and marketing terminology and how to think like a marketeer, because he wasn't a technician. He was not an engineer. He was not technical in that sense. But he had a good sensibilities of understanding people. And he listened and he learned the guides that we were taught by the guy who really set up our company and ran it. Our investor, our coach, our mentor, Mike Markula, who actually directed us as to what kind of people you hire, how you run a company, the importance of marketing, how your company presents products, and how it looks to the buyers of the world. And Steve started espousing those views. It turns out that Steve, because of his desire to be at the top of things, was always a spokesperson for the press, and stage by stage by stage, over years, he got better and better and better at it, to where we all loved the way he spoke. Rang true. It meant so much to us. And sometimes some people would say it's BS, and some people would say, wow, it's just so esoteric, out beyond the guts and the mainstream of doing things when we started. Now, when we started the company, thank God we had somebody who wanted to run a company like Steve, do the marketing, worry about sales, worry about customers, and then we had me to design the products. We had a great partnership up through those early days of Apple.
I'm going to ask you a question I've never asked you, because I've asked you a lot of questions. We've done many events together and been good friends. If I take a look at the success of Apple today, what percentage is it Steve Wozniak and what percentage is it Steve Jobs?
Oh, I never want to do that. Right, we wouldn't have a company without the two of us together. Apple's, had this tradition of building very, very great products. We started out with a product that I designed all myself, and it was the only successful product Apple had for the first 10 years. But it gave us a culture of wanting to find the way to build products that were better than anyone else was doing. So even when Steve Jobs returned to Apple and developed the great products right up to the iPhone that really changed the world and brought people believing these are the best products I've ever seen. It really started with the iPod too. It was really that desire to have the great products, which was Steve Wozniak, but it was also the ability to express it to the world and think in terms of what it would mean, not in terms of the speed of a product or a microprocessor, not in terms of engineering, but in terms of how it worked nicely for the people. And that's that left brain, right brain people. You have to hire a lot of very skilled left brain people to put software into a product to make it work so simply, it's like another human being, and that's the right brain side, where you don't have to think about technology. Look at an iPhone or an iPad. You don't have files and folders and all that computer, directory structures and things like that. It's all gone.
So one of the biggest challenge that I've encountered, especially here in South Africa and all over the world, is marketing. And it's not so much marketing tactics. I think as CEOs, we sort of go and try to hire marketers and say, okay, you come up with the big idea, and you come up with this campaign, and you come up with this website.